today we're going to be reacting to someone called Visual Venture. And this video is called Video Games Banned for Being Too Controversial. Okay. I guess. Well, video games is video games. They make video games of basically everything. I mean everything illegal and legal. They make a game about. I think there was a game on TikTok people was mad about where you do things to the woman and stuff like that, and it was on Steam. I didn't really pay much attention to that, so. But I can't even say much about this, cause looking through this, they have like it's a thing called where the video is cut and you can see the sections or whatever. I'm seeing some of these and I can see why in some, but some of them I don't get. But let's not waste your time. Let's start.
This definitely takes the cake as probably the most violent thing I've played.
I think it is crazy for anyone to make a game where students are taught to beat their teachers up.
We are determined to stop a situation in which video games and violent content are being peddled to our children.
Games are supposed to be fun, but some games are so disturbing that certain countries made them illegal. Today, we're looking at video games banned for being too controversial. You might have some of them right now, but in other parts of the world, it's a crime to play or even own these games. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality, and to do that, we gotta keep growing. So 70% of you guys aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you did, and I promise to do my very best for you. Hydrate yourselves and enjoy. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome.
I know I'm awesome.
In 2005, Rockstar Games
I remember
announced
Bully.
a new game. It was called Bully, and just the name made people freak out.
They coming out with a game where children can beat their teachers up, children can beat their classmates up.
These are things that are depicted in the game.
I heard people.
The game wasn't even out yet.
I heard a
People
theory
assumed
that
a game called Bully would make
Bully
bullying
is a
seem cool,
prequel
and that
to
might
GTA
increase
5
violence in schools.
something
As
like
the
that.
complaints increased, Rockstar defended their game. They said it wasn't about being a bully, it was about fighting them. In the game, players controlled a character named Jimmy Hopkins. Jimmy was a student at Bulworth Academy, but Jimmy wasn't a bully. He protected weaker kids from bullies. That explanation calmed things down in the US, but in places like the UK and Australia, people still wanted it banned. So the creators of the game decided to change something. They renamed the game in certain countries. The new title was Canis Canem Edit. That means dog eat dog in Latin. But apart from the name change, everything else in the game stayed the same. In 2006, Bully was finally released, and when people actually played it, it wasn't nearly as dangerous as they expected. It was given a teen rating in the US and a 15 rating in the UK. But that didn't end the drama. Some powerful people still wanted this game gone. Jack Thompson was a lawyer famous for fighting against violent video games, and Bully was next on his list. He didn't care that the game was about stopping bullies. He believed it was way too violent for kids. So Thompson took Rockstar Games to court. He wanted Bully banned forever, off the shelves and out of homes. Unfortunately, things didn't go his way. Before making a final ruling, the judge did something unexpected. He played the game himself. After seeing what Bully was really like, he ruled that there was no reason to ban it. This meant gamers in the US could keep playing Bully, but in Brazil, it was a different story. In 2008, the Brazilian government started cracking down on violent video games. Bully was one of their main targets. A Brazilian court declared the game was too violent for young children and teenagers. The judge added, the aggravating factor is that everything in the game takes place inside a school. Stores in Brazil were given 30 days to pull it off the shelves. Anyone caught selling or even owning the game would have to pay a fine. Brazilian gamers smuggled pirated copies into the country, but the ban stayed in place for almost 10 years. It wasn't until 2016 that the ban was finally lifted. For the next game on our list, the controversy was because of one
That's kind of
little
stupid.
girl,
Bully.
Miriam.
Stupid.
If you
I didn't know
ever played
Bully
a horror
existed
game, you
until
used to
like
jump
2 years
scares and
ago.
creepy
So
music. But Miriam was scary in a different way. Players said the game was
Miriam.
watching them, studying them like a stalker. Miriam was released in 2017.
Okay.
It was created by a developer from Saudi Arabia. It starts out like a typical horror game. You meet a pale girl with ghostly white hair standing alone in the dark. Her name is Miriam. She says she's lost and asks you to help her find her way home. At first, she asks for directions. Then she starts asking you personal questions like, where do you live? What's your Facebook account? Those personal questions in the game made players uneasy. They began to suspect that Miriam was trying to trick them into giving away personal information, and that suspicion quickly turned into a rumor. Soon, police in the UAE caught wind of it. They issued a warning telling the public not to play Miriam, just in case the game was trying to steal their data. The game's creator quickly denied the rumors. He said the personal questions were just meant to scare players. There was no ulterior motive. To calm everyone down, he even let tech experts look into the game's code. They found nothing suspicious. But even if Miriam wasn't stealing data, people still didn't
Is that
like it. Many
Johnny
players
Depp?
claimed
What?
the game was too sinister. It received a lot of negative reviews on game stores.
It's inappropriate and sick of someone to make such a game that can damage people's minds and lives.
As more people complained, the hashtag Ban Miriam game trended across the Middle East. And in 2018, the UAE officially banned Miriam. They claimed the game was damaging to children's health. You've definitely heard of this next game, but you probably
first and
don't
first,
realize
why
that it
is
has
you
a
making
dark past.
your child play a
GTA
horror
San
game in the
Andreas.
first place? They ain't
In
supposed to.
2002, Rockstar Games started
Think.
creating GTA San Andreas. The
Well,
GTA
maybe
series
one
was
day I'll
already
play
a
it.
hit, mainly
I'll
because
play
of
it.
the
Give
crime,
it
chaos, and
create a
violence.
little bit
But Sam
support.
Houser, the co-founder of Rockstar
If he does
Games,
find
wanted
me,
to
oh
push
well.
the limits.
That's
With GTA San Andreas, he
sad.
didn't just want violence. He wanted to add bedroom scenes. So the developers created a part of the game where players could engage in intimate acts with in-game characters.
And it was more than a simple cutscene. No, it was a fully playable time minigame.
The minigame was pretty
So
simple.
wasn't-
First, your in-game girlfriend
Nah,
would
y'all
invite you in
complaining
for coffee.
about San Andreas, where you
If you
have
said yes, you entered a
God
room
of
where you
War
controlled
that
all
you
the
could
action, if you
literally
get what I mean.
play.
But there was just one problem. Because the
I
minigame
had an
contained
emulator
adult
and I
content,
played
GTA San
God
Andreas
of
would get
War.
an adults-only rating.
And
Adults-only
I think
games
it's
can only
Ghost
be
of
sold to
Sparta.
adults.
I
That
don't
meant
know which one I
Rockstar could
played,
lose
but I think
millions of
it's the
dollars
first
in
one.
sales because kids wouldn't be able to
And
buy it. The
in
company
the-
didn't want to lose money, so at the last minute
When
they
you
decided
finish
to
fighting
remove the
this
minigame.
guy, right,
However,
you
GTA San
have the
Andreas was
option
almost done,
to
so
do
removing
it with a
was
lady.
complicated. That's
And
when they
it
came
was
up with
a
a really
minigame.
bad
You could
idea.
hear the
Instead
sound
of
effect.
fully
You
deleting the
you-
intimate bedroom scene,
you
they
hear
buried it
everything,
deep
and
inside
no,
the
you're
game's
complaining
code.
about
They assumed
this.
no one would discover it. They were wrong. In October 2004, GTA San Andreas launched, and within a month, a gamer named Patrick W discovered the hidden minigame. But Patrick W wasn't just a regular gamer, he was also a modder. He started messing with the game's code and figured out how to unlock the hidden minigame. From there, he developed the Hot Coffee mod. With this mod, anyone playing GTA San Andreas on a PC could access the explicit bedroom content. In June 2005, Patrick uploaded the Hot Coffee mod to GTAgarage.com. It was downloaded over 1 million times within 4 weeks. Now, players all over the world had access to an explicit minigame with a bedroom scene, and they loved it. Game chat rooms were buzzing with excitement, but soon people started to realize what this actually meant, and it wasn't good. When GTA San Andreas was first released, it was rated mature. That meant only kids 17 and older were allowed to buy it. But now, the Hot Coffee mod unlocked bedroom scenes, making the game inappropriate for anyone under 18. The problem was, thousands of kids already bought it. In other words, an adult game was in the hands of children. Parents and politicians were furious.
We are determined to stop a situation in which video games with
I swear, niggas just be
content are
stupid
being
as hell.
peddled to our children.
Parents didn't just want the
Even if
explicit
it's
minigame
this
removed,
said,
they wanted GTA San Andreas
it
banned.
was
During
in the
controversy,
game.
Rockstar released
You
a
have to
statement. They acted
unlock
like they
it.
didn't create the adult
You have to.
minigame.
It's a
Instead, they blamed
mod.
the modders for adding it. Other gamers turned
Exactly.
against Patrick W. They accused him of ruining San Andreas' reputation. As people ranted in the gaming forums, one player made a key point. They can't blame Patrick W for this mod because he didn't make it, he just enabled it. And that's when the Entertainment Software Rating Board launched an investigation. They had one big question: was this adult minigame really modded in by players, or had Rockstar hidden it all along? It didn't take long to figure it out.
That this content wasn't created by the modding community, it was there all along, and Rockstar must have known this.
Rockstar was caught red-handed. Once the truth came out, things went downhill for Rockstar.
And even if it was
Games.
hidden, still, it's hidden for a reason. Maybe they didn't want to push it back by taking out codes, because you know you have to put in codes and stuff like that. But sometimes messing or taking out
Before
a
Rockstar
code
could
can
respond,
break
the
the
ratings
whole
board
game.
made a
Maybe they
decision.
hid
They
it for a
changed San
reason.
Andreas' rating from mature to adults only. It was the first GTA game to get an adults only rating, and that had serious consequences.
There were many retailers across the US just pulling San Andreas altogether while it has an adults only rating.
Since it was now an adult game, hundreds of stores in the US pulled it from their shelves. The game was also banned in Australia and many Asian countries. There was only one way Rockstar could fix this mess. They recalled all copies of GTA San Andreas. Then they removed the explicit minigame and released a version that couldn't run the hot coffee mod. That lifted the ban in Australia, but the damage was done. The scandal and recall cost Rockstar millions of dollars in sales. And even after the release, San Andreas remained banned in several Asian countries. This next game was accused of embarrassing an entire country. Battlefield 4. In the early 2010s, Battlefield was one of the best first-person shooter games around. It was
It's
actually one of my
either
favorite
Russia
games back
or
then.
America.
Battlefield 1, 2, and 3 were insanely popular. So when Battlefield 4 was announced, fans expected another great game. And that's exactly what they got. Battlefield 4 launched in October 2013, and it was an instant hit. But just 2 months later, that game sparked an international crisis. In December 2013, EA released the first
China.
DLC for Battlefield
Okay.
4. They called it China Rising. China Rising had cool maps, weapons, and missions, but the story was extremely controversial. In the game, a Chinese admiral tries to overthrow the government. To stop him, the US military has to swoop in and save the day. China's government did not like this story. In fact, they hated it. Officials called the game a national security threat. They said it made China look bad in the eyes of the world. Chinese news reports labeled it a new form of cultural penetration.
This
and
is
aggression.
also
Everyone
stupid.
thought
Shouldn't
China
y'all
would just
ban some of the
DLC, but
movies
government
for
had
doing
a
that? There's a
much bigger
lot of
plan.
movies
China
about
banned the entire
things like
game.
this.
And
Ain't
Battlefield
y'all
4
ain't banning the
just canceled
movie.
because
This
of
is
break.
stupid as
In
hell.
addition to connectivity issues over the weekend, the game has also been banned in China for endangering Chinese national security.
China
wanna
ordered
play
stores
Battlefield
in
2,
the
it's
country
kinda
to
cool.
remove every copy
Is
of
Battlefield
Battlefield
connected?
4.
No,
Chinese
it's a
websites
EA game,
weren't even
okay.
allowed to mention the game. It was the first time China banned a game in more than 8 years. Some Chinese players tried to avoid the ban by smuggling the game in from other countries, but the government blocked those moves. They made it impossible to find the game anywhere in China. Battlefield 4 was popular all over the world, but in China, it was like it never existed.
Okay.
Gamers love it when a game tries something new, but in this next story,
Well,
being
I'ma bring it
different
back. I'ma
got this
play it.
game banned. Carmageddon.
I'm gonna play it, but
Carmageddon came out in the late 90s, but it
Carmageddon.
wasn't your usual racing game. Instead of punishing reckless driving, the game rewarded it. Players were encouraged to smash cars, run over pedestrians, and destroy everything in sight. The more chaos they caused on the
Basically
road, the more
GTA.
points they got. Gamers thought Carmageddon was awesome, but for governments around the world, it was a serious problem. They
Bruh.
felt the game encouraged reckless driving, and that could lead to real-life danger on the roads. To stop that from happening, some countries took drastic measures. Several countries, including Brazil and Argentina, banned Carmageddon completely. But in the UK, it turned into a messy back and forth. Every game sold in the UK had to be approved by the British Board of Film Classification, or BBFC. But when the BBFC saw Carmageddon, they refused to give it a rating until the violent parts were removed. Without the rating, the game couldn't be sold in the UK. Carmageddon creators fought back. They said the violence was no worse
BBFC
than
big.
what you'd see in Tom and and Jerry. But the BBFC
I thought about
budged.
something. I thought about something.
Needed
Don't
to be
worry.
less gory or it'd never be sold in the UK. Eventually, the game developers gave in. They made a new version where pedestrians were replaced with zombies, and instead of red blood, they had green goo. That way, it wouldn't look like it was encouraging real-life violence. The
But it
authorities were
still
satisfied and allowed the
encourages
game to be
violence.
released
It's
in the
a
UK.
zombie,
But what happened next
right?
made the BBFC look like fools. Not
It's
long
still
after the
people,
censored
but just
version was
they're
released,
already
something
dead.
strange showed up online. It was a patch for the game, and it brought everything back. Zombies were swapped out for humans again. Green goo turned into red blood. It turns out that the patch was created by one of the original developers who worked on Carmageddon. Even worse, the game's publishers knew about it, but they didn't lift a finger to stop it. When the BBFC found out, they were furious. They felt tricked. First, the publishers got the rating by censoring the game. Then, they secretly brought back the violent version with a hidden patch. The BBFC took the game to court. For 10 months, they battled it out in court. But in the end, the BBFC lost. The
Good.
BBFC's decision to ban the game was overturned, and the original Carmageddon, full of blood and gore, was released in the UK. Most games get banned because of what's in them, but this next game got in trouble because of what the players were doing.
Okay.
Roblox.
Oh. Okay.
I know we all know what Roblox is, but what you
With the
probably didn't know
PDs,
was
you
that it
know,
was
them
banned in
head-
the entire country.
them
Roblox
PDFs?
is one of the biggest
Okay, I
online
know,
gaming
y'all.
platforms in the world, but behind all the fun and games,
I used to
there's
do
a
them
dark
freaky
side.
things too
Roblox is
back
filled with young kids,
when I
but it
was
also has a
14,
huge number of
obviously
adult
not
players.
know. I'm
And when you
19
put
now.
those two groups together, bad things can happen. Roblox has become a hunting ground for Preds. Every year,
Yeah.
there are new reports of this happening.
Parents, beware. Monsters are among us. Police say
Among
the
Us.
10-year-old girl
What the hell?
met
Something is wrong with me,
Graham
Among Us.
on
If y'all see me
Roblox.
itching, my
Despite all
head
the
feels
stories,
so
it doesn't look
tight.
like
I got my
Roblox
shit
is doing enough to
retwisted
stop
and
it.
shit.
Roblox
and
has a history
shit.
of ignoring problems that don't directly affect
Tight,
their profits.
tight,
It's
tight,
almost like
tight.
all they care about is money. Back in 2022,
Ooh.
I said something that can still apply today. I mean, to me, it's pretty clear that Roblox doesn't see its users as people. To them, we're just walking money bags waiting to be empty. At the time, I was talking specifically about Roblox's payment system, but in a way, it applies to the platform as a whole. It seems that Roblox's top priority
I mean, I still
isn't
play
safety,
Roblox,
it's making
but I
money.
mostly
They
play
focus on getting
fighting
more
games and
users
stuff
and
like
growing
that.
their business. Everything
Or
else,
that
including
one horror
protecting young
game
users,
called
comes
Pillar
second.
Chase. I
Since
played that.
Roblox isn't doing enough, some countries decided to act. One of them was Turkey. On August 7th, 2024, Turkey officially banned Roblox. They released a statement saying they did it to ensure the protection of Turkish children. At first, Turkey banning Roblox didn't seem like a big deal. That was until people realized Turkey had the 5th largest Roblox player base in the world. Roblox didn't want to lose millions of users, so they tried to negotiate with Turkish officials to lift the ban, but the government wouldn't budge. Turkey refused to let Roblox back in. After that, other countries started thinking about banning Roblox too. This means that if Roblox doesn't take safety more seriously, more bans could be on the way. This next game was banned because people feared it could turn players into substance addicts. Fallout 3.
Fallout.
Open world
I've
games
heard of
promise
Fallout.
freedom.
I've
You can
always
go
wanted
anywhere,
to play
do anything,
Fallout,
and
but
shape the story how you want. But this game took that idea
it's
to
basically
the
a
extreme.
modern
In Fallout
version
3,
of
players can use
Skyrim.
different substances to heal or get
At least
stronger.
that's what I
One of
heard.
those substances was morphine, but there was a big problem. Morphine is a real substance. It's so addictive that it's illegal to have it without a prescription. This meant anyone playing Fallout 3 was introduced to this real-world illegal substance. Even worse, in-game characters could get addicted to morphine just like what happens in real life. When Fallout 3 reached Australia, the rating board said the game promoted drug use, so they banned it. This was a disaster for the game developers. Australia was a huge market, and losing it could cost them millions. To get the game released, they changed morphine to Med-X. The new name removed the real-world connection, and the ban was lifted. But Australia wasn't the only country that had a problem with Fallout 3. When German authorities saw the game's brutal combat scenes, they refused to approve it because it was way too violent. The game's developers were forced to remove most of the graphic content, and when they did,
when they
Fallout
banned the
3 was
game, I
released
could
in
say
German.
another
But
game to
Fallout
show
problems
y'all
weren't over.
brutal
Japan also
combat.
had an issue with the game. In one mission, players could set off a nuclear bomb. Unfortunately, Japan has a tragic history with nuclear attacks, so this part of the game was deeply offensive to them. To avoid getting banned, the developers removed the
That was
bombing mission
years
from the
ago. This
Japanese
is a
version.
game.
But
Somebody
even
else
after all
can
that,
make a
Fallout
game
wasn't
worse
done
than it.
causing trouble, and this time there was no fixing it. In the game, players run into two-headed mutant cows called Brahmin, but in India, this caused outrage. Brahmin is a Hindu word. Furthermore, cows are sacred in Hinduism. Many Indians felt the game was being disrespectful, but unlike other countries like Australia
Isn't
or
there a
Germany,
Witcher game where
India
you
didn't
kill
ask
cows?
for changes. They just banned Fallout 3, and to this day, it's still banned in India. When this next game got banned, no one was surprised. It was just too extreme. Manhunt 1 and 2.
I have never heard of
Manhunt was
Manhunt.
released in 2003, and it's still
Oh,
one
it
of the
looks
most
like a-
controversial games ever. In the
looks
game,
like a
you
hard
play
game.
as James Earl Cash. Cash is a death row inmate about to be executed by lethal injection, but right before it happens, he wakes up. He realizes he was just sedated. Then a mysterious voice starts speaking to Cash. The voice introduces himself as the director. He tells Cash there's one way out, one last shot at freedom, but only if Cash follows his instructions.
Do exactly as I say, and this will be
Saw.
over before the night is out.
The problem is that the director's instructions are all about ending lives. Cash is told to hunt down enemies and take them out using whatever he can find. Glass shards, baseball bats, plastic bags, anything becomes a weapon. What made Manhunt even worse was how real it all felt. The people Cash hunted in the game showed fear and desperation. And then came the twist. Cash found out he was actually starring in a snuff film. All his brutal acts were being filmed by the director.
You're doing fine, Cash, just fine. We're getting some great material.
Wow.
The game also had kidnapping, substances, and so many more illegal acts I can't even tell you guys. All in all, Manhunt was deeply disturbing and people were furious. The game was even called a murder simulator. In the US, parents and politicians demanded an immediate ban. They were scared the game might inspire real-life aggression, especially among young people. But somehow, Manhunt slipped through. It was never banned in the US, but other countries weren't as forgiving. New Zealand, Malaysia, South Korea, and Saudi Arabia all banned Manhunt as soon as it was released. But that was nothing compared to what happened in the UK. In July 2004, a boy took the life of his close friend. Almost instantly, tabloids in the UK jumped on the story. They reported that the culprit was obsessed
I lost
with
y'all faith
Manhunt,
in. I
suggesting
lost
the
faith
game
in
inspired the
humanity.
crime.
Cause
But when
what?
police investigated, they found out the culprit didn't even own the game. But it was too late. Manhunt was now tied to a real-life tragedy. Its reputation got even worse. And more
He didn't
countries,
even own the
including
game.
Australia and Germany, banned the game too. But after all this bad press, Rockstar Games did something no one saw coming. They made a sequel to Manhunt. In 2007, Rockstar Games released Manhunt 2.
Oh,
somehow it was even more
I think I
disturbing
have
than
seen
the
it.
first.
This definitely takes the cake as probably the most violent thing I've played.
The sequel introduced a new feature called Levels of Execution. The game encouraged players to eliminate their targets in brutal ways to get more points, and people were not okay with that. Soon, they were talking about the game in Congress.
The new video is called Manhunt 2, and at the state capitol, it's creating ripples over the rating system for these games.
In the US, Manhunt 2 was rated adults only. Major stores refused to sell it. Consoles like PlayStation and Nintendo blocked it.
Tonight, a violent video game pulled from store shelves.
Manhunt 2 has been the target of criticism since its release a week ago. Now Target is doing something about it.
To save the game, Rockstar blurred some of the violent scenes and cut out the worst parts. That version got a mature rating in the US and could finally be sold. But even the toned-down version was still too much. Manhunt 2 got banned in Germany, Malaysia, Australia, and South Korea, among others. The game was just too intense. If there's one thing these bans prove, it's that games are powerful. They can shape how people think, feel, and act. And I know I sound like an old person, but at the end of the day, we have to be careful about what we play, because games influence us more than we realize. Visual Venture.
Bruh, I watched a movie called Spit on Your Grave, bruh. That didn't change how I act. Because they can't find the bodies. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Or maybe not. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And that's I believe it's very stupid that they're banning games. Well, some games do deserve to be banned. Manhunt, it doesn't really matter because there's worse games, as of late and stuff. To ban a game about gore and stuff like that, that's stupid when you have things like Mortal Kombat. The first Mortal Kombat still had very much violence. They had blood. The sounds that they made were very terrible. I don't see the point of banning something, so hope you enjoyed the video, and that's all for today. Not today, for now.